let's go to the next topic and the next presenter. I guess hindi na kailangang i-introduce itong next speaker natin, but I will still do so. Our next speaker is our CEO and founder. So Dr. Jeff Bunquin is also a graduate of chemistry at UPLB and finished his PhD degree at University of Alberta. And he has 14 plus years of research experience combined in academe and government and also in the industry, and numerous publications with numerous citations. So without further ado, I'll give the floor, the virtual floor to Dr. Jeff Bunquin. Kuya Jeff?
Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me? Narinig
Yes,
ako?
Kuya. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll take over and share my screen then. Alright. Okay. So magandang umaga po uli sa inyo lahat. Back to me. So ako na naman. Ako po talaga yung pagsasawaan nyo na yung pagmumukha ko kasi lagi nyo naman ako nakikita. So okay. So this time around, allow me to talk about two very important qualities of and I don't know if I would call it like skill. No? These are two very important I guess like traits or skills that pwede po na ninyong maituro bilang mga guro sa ating mga mag-aaral. Ito po napakahalaga po talaga nitong dalawang to. I'm talking about ingenuity and creativity. For your information po, actually, creativity is actually one of the three most important skills na kailangan po ng ating mga bata para sa pag nagkaroon sila ng trabaho 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. So I cannot give enough emphasis to this po. So it actually excites me to talk about this at para po maipahatid sa inyong mga guro that you play a very crucial role kung paano po talaga natin ito matuturo sa ating mga mag-aaral. And allow me to say, creativity and ingenuity is not only useful for STEM. Mahalaga po ito sa fine arts, mahalaga po ito sa iba't iba pa pong mga larangan. So it's actually how we exercise those muscles amongst our students. So mahalaga po yan. Pero bago po tayo dumako dun sa nilalaman ng aking presentation, let's talk about the definition of these two terms. So the first of which is ingenuity. So ito po, nakuha po natin ito from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So ingenuity is actually defined as, may dalawang definition po dito, skill or cleverness in devising or combining. So how you can actually use different components at pagsamasamahin po sila, ganun po yung definition niya. Second definition is the cleverness or aptness of design or contrivance. So essentially po, in layman's term po, dito, paano ba natin naiintindihan ang mga bagay-bagay, yung mga inventions natin, for example, sa STEM? Ano ba yung mga elemento niyan? Ano ba yung bumubuo? Paano ba sila pinagsama-sama for them to form a functional material? So ito po yung mahalagang bagay na in as early as at the elementary or high school level, pwede po natin talaga itong maturo sa ating mga kabataan. So that's it. It's learning the process of building. That is ingenuity. Creativity, on the other hand naman po, it's considered as a higher level of thinking kasi it's about how a person thinks outside of the box, how a person can come up with something that is original, how a person can visualize something that no one has ever thought of before. So ito po yung mga mahalagang definition noon. Paano ba tayo makakapag-isip ng mga bagay na wala pang nakakaintindi? Paano ba tayo makakapag-isip ng mga disenyo na wala pang nakaisip kahit kailanman? So ito po yung creativity, and allow me to emphasize the fact that ingenuity and creativity, they go hand in hand. So ipapakita ko po yan sa inyo maya-maya. And okay. Alright, so gaya po na sinasabi ng ating mga naunang speakers, si Ate Annalette at si Marty, we have to start our students young. We have to inculcate these values and skills amongst our students in as early as possible. And bakit po ba ganoon? Kasi kapag naturuan nyo sila ng mas maaga, kahit hindi nila alam na tinatrain nyo sila sa ingenuity at creativity, ang result po noon, pagdating nila ng high school at college at pagka-graduate nila sa kolehiyo, with the snap of a finger, madali po sila makakapag-isip ng mga ideas. So ito po talaga yan. We have to exercise those muscles. We have to develop those muscles in as early as possible such that pagdating po nila ng kolehiyo at saka ng high school, second nature na lang po yun. Parang lang silang humihinga. Parang humihinga na lang sila at ang lumalabas sa kanila po ay mga ideas. And I would like to emphasize like a couple of statements here. So the world will not advance without human creativity and ingenuity. So gaya nga po nung sinabi ni Marty kanina, walang COVID vaccine kapag wala tayong creative at ingenuous na mga tao, mga scientists, engineers, and those even like people involved in on the business side. These skills enable man to create original ideas and invent disruptive innovation. So, wala pa akong kanote na scientist yun kasi ako po yung nagsulat niyan. Anyways, so yun po, hindi tayo makaka-create if we're not creative. Hindi po tayo makaka-invento kung hindi tayo creative. Imposible po yun. Kasi kung if we don't have creative thinkers, if we don't have original thinkers, ang magagawa po natin ay paulit-ulit lang po na revision lang po ng mga nauna. Ang tawag po doon ay incremental improvement. May paunti-unting pagbabago sa ating mga ginagawa, pero kung wala po tayong creative thinkers, siguro po wala tayong computer ngayon. Baka po gumagamit pa rin tayo ng kahoy sa ating pagluluto. Yung po mga bagay na yan na bumago sa buhay ng sangkatauhan ay produkto po ng pag-iisip ng creative thinkers. Okay. So, pero mahalaga po kasi na tayong mga guro, naiintindihan talaga natin ano ba itong ingenuity, ano ba yung creativity, ano ba pinagkaiba-iba nito. So, ingenuity is actually recognizing patterns and design elements of a particular material or structure or a concept and then applying them in building. So, yung pinaka-simple pong analogy na mabibigay ko sa inyo, pag binilhan nyo po ng Lego box ang inyong mga anak, pag nakita niyo po yun, typically meron po dong instructional material na pinapakita, okay, you can start by building this model. So, meron pong models na pinoprovide. And ang role po ng models na yan is to actually show our students or everyone, kahit po mga matatanda, how you can actually use the Lego pieces, piece them up together to come up with a structure that's actually based on a design. And yun po yung ingenuity. It's learning. Paano mo ba pinagdidikit-dikit tong Lego models? Paano mo ba sila pinagsama-sama such that yung end product is something na, okay, this represents something or this has a function. Meron itong kagamitan. Yun po ang ingenuity. It's actually how we teach our students the process of building, how the parts come together to form a functional unit. Okay, so pagdating naman po sa creativity, sabi ko nga higher level thinking, kapag natutunan na ng ating mga estudyante kung paano ba ang pag-build based on design elements, based on design principles, dito na papasok yung creativity. So paano? Dadating yung point na yung Lego box na binili ninyo na merong model na susundan or ikokopyahin ng inyong mga anak. Kapag nasahin na sila, they will start building models of their own. Even models that no one has ever actually constructed before. So for example, dati po bahay yung ginagawa nila, baka naman yung gagawin nila this time around is actually a spaceship. So ito po yung pinagkaiba ng ingenuity at creativity. But then, again, I would like to emphasize these two go hand in hand. Kasi po, may mga tao who are creative thinker who don't necessarily have the ability to build. So nakikita nila yung endpoint, nakikita nila yung final state, pero hindi nila alam how they can actually use the resources available to them para buuin yung kanilang konsepto. Kaya po mahalagang ito na parehas po natin itong natuturo sa ating mga estudyante. Okay. So, lahat po ng mga nauna kong mga kasamahan ay nag-share na kanilang experiences sa kung paano ba nila ginamit. For example, kay Ate Annalette yung knowledge application, kay Marty yung experimentation naman. Now, this time around, I would actually allow you to take a peek at my thought process. Paano po ba ako nag-iisip? Kasi ang akin pong trabaho, I'm actually a practicing scientist. So on a daily basis, I'm actually thinking, my mind is functioning to create because doon po ako pinapasahod. Okay. And specifically, I will share with you some of my Lego building moments involved in how we actually established Filipino Science Hub. So a year ago po, when they announced global lockdowns, alam ko lang yung intention ko. Gusto kong makatulong. So alam ko po na yung mga teachers at mga students natin sa Pilipinas magagaling. Ngayon na nagkaroon ng pandemic, paano ba natin sila matutulungan such that hindi naman impacted yung quality ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto ng ating mga guro at mag-aaral. So alam ko lang na andito yung challenges, maraming kakulangan, kaya nilang makarating sa next level. How do we actually help them get to the next level? So dito na po papasok yung ating creativity at ingenuity. And so since ang primary challenge po sa atin back then is nagkaroon ng distance ng countrywide distance education mandate, obviously po kailangan ng mga guro natin ng tulong. So kailangan nila ng teaching tools and techniques on how they can transition to the new normal mode of teaching. And then pangalawa, yun po mga traditional na mga materials na ginagamit nila sa pagtuturo, hindi na po yun accessible to them. And so dito ko na po siguro pre-practice yung ingenuity. So ang una pong ginawa ko dyan is, nag-isip ako, ano ba yung mga platforms or resources available out there? So for example, teaching tools and techniques, during that time, ang Vibal group po, they were very active in rolling out teaching webinars, gabay para sa ating mga guro. So that's actually like that's highly appreciated that ang ganda po ng ginagawa nila. On the other hand po, there are also some open access resource materials, specifically lecture videos po, available sa YouTube. So if you're familiar with the Khan Academy, if you're familiar with Crash Course Science, so they all exist. But then, kami po, ang advocacy namin sa Filipino Science Hub ay specific sa STEM. So siguro po nakita namin dito na, okay, these are actually very functional organizations. But then, ang konsepto naman po natin ay hindi sila palitan or hindi sila kalabanan kasi they're working. So we don't have to recreate the wheel if the wheel is still functional, kung maayos pa naman po siya. But then ang naisip po namin, siguro po makakatulong na mag-focus tayo sa ating mga guro sa STEM. So dito na po pumasok yung ating ingenuity. Inaral natin kung paano ba yung proseso ng Vibal, kung paano ang proseso ng Crash Course Science at ng Khan Academy. But then meron po tayong tweakings, meron lang po tayong pag-adjust ng konti para po yung paglapat ng mga material na gagawin natin ay saktong-sakto sa pangangailangan ng mga guro natin sa Pilipinas sa STEM area. So pagdating po sa teaching tools and techniques, nag-imbita po tayo ng mga guro mula sa iba't ibang parte ng bansa para po magbigay ng tulong or ng paggabay kung ano ba yung magagamit ng mga nasa Pilipinas sa pagtuturo during the pandemic. But then, nagdagdag po kami kasi it's also very important to prepare our teachers psychologically. Kailangan po ang mental preparation talaga ay nandun in as early as possible. Pagdating naman po sa STEM lectures, Crash Course Science and Khan Academy, they're actually wonderful platforms. But then the issue is the language barrier. At dun po papasok yung Tagalog-English web lectures natin kasi mahirap na po ang science in and of itself. But then kung yung language barrier medyo ating matatanggal or mapapababa, siguro po mas maraming mga matututong mga guro at mas madaling matututunan ng mga estudyante natin ang ating mga material. But then, okay, so we were able to establish these things. Ang mga guro po natin ay sumusubaybay sa ating mga ginagawa sa PhilSci Hub. But then ako po, as I told you, hindi po ako nakakampante if I'm not building something. Ganun po, siguro po there's something wrong with me. Aligaga po ako, dapat meron ako laging binubuo at ginagawa. So, nung nakikita po namin, okay, it's making an impact. The question is, sapat na po ba yun? Sapat bang binibigyan mo lang ng material ang ating mga guro? Sapat bang binibigyan mo sila ng mga gabay kung paano sila makakapagturo ng maayos? Pero nakita rin po kasi namin, is this approach sustainable? Kasi, ang nangyayari po dyan, baka binibigyan mo lang sila ng material, pero how do they steward that? Passionate ba talaga sila sa science? Alam ba nila kung paano i-apply yung kanilang ginagawa? So by just providing them with materials that they can use on a daily basis does not ensure that matuturuan natin sila ng synthetic mindset or maging creative ang mga Pilipinong estudyante, pati na rin ang ating mga guro. So dito na po pumasok yung ating yung idea of bringing something new. So dito na po sa naisip ko, okay, scientist kami. May mga kaibigan kaming scientists. We're part of a big community. We can actually bring that community and connect them to the Filipino teachers and students. So ito na po, dito na pumasok yung original thinking kasi to the best of our knowledge, wala pa pong ibang organizations or platforms na gumagawa nito na magpapakilala po sa inyo ng mga inspirational figures para po kayo ay matuto kung paano i-apply ang inyong mga natututunan sa klase. And this actually gave way to the birth of the Filipino Science Hub Research University. And what we do here is we provide trainings po para sa ating mga guro. Fundamental research trainings at ang objective po namin dito is to bring out the scientists in everyone. To bring out the scientists in our teachers. Kasi for them to be able to convince our students to become scientists, kailangan there's also we should be able to unleash the scientists in them. And we don't stop there. Hindi lang po namin kayo tinuturuan kung paano ba yung research. We also introduce to you the modern day heroes of STEM. So meron po tayo dyan mga special topics. Nagpapa-webinar po tayo with Filipino scientists and even foreign experts in the different areas of the sciences. So yan po yung I believe one of the most suitable representation kung paano po ba natin magagamit yung ingenuity and creativity. And as I was telling you, I'm proud to say that the Filipino Science Hub strategy is an original one. It's a trailblazing effort that's actually put together by the minds of all of these wonderful Filipino scientists that you actually get to experience today. So, balanse po ang approach natin. Para makabuo ng kultura, dapat pinupuno ang isip, dapat pinapagaling ang mga kamay. Yun po ang aking personal experience. And okay, so mabalik po tayo. Paano nyo ba i-foster ang creativity and ingenuity sa klase? So ito po yung 3 points that I would like to emphasize. So the first of which is adapt project-based learning. So hindi ko po masyadong i-discuss to because like there's a couple of other speakers who will talk more talk about this on at a greater detail. So ang mahalaga po kasi dito is now that we have access to a bunch of resources, to a bunch of information, we can start adapting a paradigm shift in how we teach STEM. So sa halip po dati na okay tayo sa lesson plan, nag-iisip tayo, ito yung classroom activity na ipapagawa ko sa mga estudyante, may set of instructions, meron nang nakalista na ito yung outcomes to expect, and then yun na, ilalatag mo lang sa estudyante. How about give them the freedom to foster their creativity? So halip po na mag-assign kayo ng experiments or classroom activities sa parang robot yung mga susunod. How about you come up with projects that will give them the freedom na, okay, ito yung topic na aaralin natin ngayon. How about you demonstrate it using a science project? Ganoon. How about you demonstrate the concept leveraging your creativity? I'm hoping that ito po sana gawin na rin natin sa klase. Kasi this time around, our students will be involved in the design of their experiments. They'll be involved in the design of their projects. Secondly po is maker activities combined with STEM lessons. So for example, sa halip po na magtuturo kayo, ile-lecture nyo lang, okay, ito yung mga factors affecting the growth of or the germination of a seed or the growth of a plant. How about you actually challenge them? Okay, you localize your experiments based on what's relevant to your community. So for example, sa halip na i-lecture nyo po yung tamang pagtatanim or pag-aalaga ng halaman, how about you challenge them? Okay, buong group, you divide yourself up, you're gonna come up with different ways of growing a particular plant. Yung mga halaman or mga gulay na mahalaga para sa ating mga magsasaka. And base doon sa pag-aaral ninyo, kung ano man yung matutunan natin, susulat tayo ng report, atin yung i-share sa ating mga magsasaka na hindi nakapag-aaral. Yun po yung mga pamamaraan kung paano po ninyo babaguhin yung paraan ng pagtuturo ng STEM such that you provide them with the space for them to practice their ingenuity and creativity. Pangatlo po, encourage creativity via team activities po. So ito po, Professor Michelle Lansigan will talk about this later in greater detail. But then, ang gusto ko lang po kasing sabihin sa inyo dito is, karamihan po ng mga STEM activities sa klase, minsan solo, no? But how about lessen the burden from our students? Hati-hatiin niyo yung task. Assign them to team activities. Kasi ang nangyayari po dyan, it's not, hindi lang po nyo binabawasan yung burden ng mga estudyante, you're also giving them the opportunity to learn from others. Kasi kung hati-hati sila, iba-iba sila ng role, and they come together to synthesize ano ba yung natutunan, matututo yung isang estudyante sa kung ano yung natutunan ng isang bata without having to do that. And that's actually the spirit of that's actually the reason why most scientists abroad are actually successful. Hindi po namin kailangan maging expert sa lahat ng bagay. Pwede po kung may matuto by observing others. So yun po yung kahalagahan. And all these come together to help foster and, improve students' creativity and ingenuity. And then ito po, my second to the last slide. So kanina po nagpe-prescribe ako ano ba yung siguro dapat nyong gawin. Pero ito rin po yung ituturo ko sa inyo, yung mga sana po hindi nyo na ginagawa sa klase. So when you are assigning activities to your students, and ang intention nyo po is to foster creativity, wag po sana tayong CCTV camera po. Let's not constantly surveil our students kasi po kapag lagi kayo, if you're always breathing down their neck, nape-pressure po yung mga yan and that kills creativity. Wag po natin gawin yan. Pangalawa, yun pong nakasanayan lalong-lalo na sa Pilipinas, no? Kasi yung kultura po ng mga Asyano, dapat strict. Ito yung sinabi ko sa inyo, steps 1 to 10, and then ito yung outcomes. Sabi nga ni Marty, kapag sobra kayong strict at sobra kayong specific about yung expected result, baka po dumating sa point na mandaya yan. Tayo pong mga guro mismo, yung magpupush yung mga estudyante natin na mandaya. So, allow them to fail. Allow them to come up with ways by which they can actually access the answer. Kasi sa totoong buhay lang po, yung 1 plus 1, kahit i-mental mo yan, or kahit yung ibang estudyante ay gumagamit po ng daliri na 1 plus 1, hindi naman po kasi magkaiba ang sagot doon. So, ang mahalaga po dyan is you actually let your students approach a particular problem using their own creativity. Wala pong mali o tamang paraan. Yun po ang gusto kong i-share sa inyo. Pangalawa, prizes po. So sa atin po kasi sa Pilipinas, sobrang glamorized yung awards. And kami po, karamihan, nakikita niyo po yung CVs namin. Okay, we received awards. But then, yung gusto ko, we're not against the reward system, but sana po, whenever you hand these things out, you also take the time to provide feedback sa ating mga estudyante. No? Yung mga hindi nakakuha ng award na, oh, this is actually the strength of what you did. Ito yung unique sa ginawa mo. Kailangan din po nila ng positive reinforcement. Kumbaga, sabi nga po ni John Lloyd Cruz sa isang teleserye, sa kada isang inoohan mo, meron ka 1,000 hinihindian. So sana po, yung mga 1,000 hinihindian ninyo, bigyan nyo rin po ng feedback para po ma-inspire pa rin sila. Wag po tayo dun para dun sa mga matatalino lang. Kasi sa totoo lang po, intelligence is quite overrated. It doesn't actually assure you that you're gonna succeed in life. And then lastly, restricting choices and opportunities. So kapag may oportunidad po dyan sa mga estudyante, let them. Wag po natin silang ididikta na ay dapat ganito lang yung gagawin mo o wag mong gawin yan. Kasi failure is a part of exploring your creativity. Yun po. All right. So I would just like to cap this with this particular quote by Reid Hoffman. So hard work isn't enough. So hard work is good. Mahalaga po na nagtatrabaho talaga tayo kasi ang mga bagay naman po hindi mabubuo kung hindi natin tatrabahuhin. And more work is never the real answer. So the sort of grit you need to scale a business is less reliant on brute force. Hindi po kasi nadadaan sa puwersa at sa effort lang ang mga bagay-bagay. At ito po yung pinakamagandang nagustuhan ko sa kanyang sinabi. It's actually one part determination. So determination, kapag meron kang vision, willing ka to do all the work that's needed for you to be able to build or to actually create, to realize your ideas. Pangalawa, one part ingenuity. So again, kailangan pong gamitan din niya ng utak. Hindi po again, hindi lang po ito puro pagpapagod lang. And then lastly, one part laziness. So when what he means with one part laziness is that may kasabihan niya po tayo, if you want something difficult to get done, assign it to a lazy person because that lazy person is gonna try to find the most straightforward path to get to the answer. Kasi po, minimum effort, maximum output. Okay, so I would leave you all with that. So again, maraming salamat po. And at this point, I would like to introduce our next speaker. Okay, wala pala dito sa slide ito ang ating next speaker. Ate Daang, could you please share your screen?